Growing up as gymnasts in my parents' gym in Miami, Florida, my brother and I never really knew much of anything else. I mean, my father was a gymnast, my mom was a gymnast, and in the 80s, as a married couple, they opened up one of the first recreational style gymnastics centers in Florida. And at that time, my parents were witnessing like the fall of like gymnasium, school gymnastics type stuff, you know? And they knew that club gymnastics was the way of the future, like gymnastics as a business. But they weren't business people. They weren't managers. They really weren't anything but gymnastics coaches. But they had a vision, you know, a vision that gymnastics could be a business, an enterprise, a new phenomenon. But they had no idea where to start. So, you know, they did the best thing they can do when you don't know how to start. You just start. In their first location, when I was shy of being, I don't know, maybe like 3 years old, I remember watching in awe as the gymnast at my parents' gym vaulted over the horse. And at the time, it was a different type of horse. After the practice, I'll try to take a crack at it. But with the horse being so high and the springboard being harder than concrete to me, I couldn't possibly like get airborne. But then one day I saw an opportunity. Someone had placed a stool in front of the horse. And so I'm like, man, this is my chance. And so I started at the end of the vault runway, and I ran as fast as I could, little 3-year-old Zander. I jumped onto the stool, and the stool tipped over towards the horse, and then bam, like I smashed my face in the horse, and of course I had my tongue out the whole time, so which caused me to bite on my tongue, and like just blood was everywhere. And it was late that night, and I remember this vividly. My mom was sitting at the front desk and was likely already stressed. She was organizing the bills, invoices, tuition, roster, scheduling, all by herself, being the gym owner she was. But she came to my rescue to console me, and actually until this day, I still have this 1-inch scar on my tongue representing the first time I vaulted. So in 2008, my parents sold their gymnastics center called Florida Gymnastics Training Center and moved to a small town near Ocala to retire. My brother and I, myself being 18 years old, had no idea what we were going to do or where we were going. So we actually found ourselves moving to Orlando, Florida, because like many retired male gymnasts, I landed a job at Disney as a stunt performer. And so my brother and I also coached at a local gymnastics center, like, you know, on the side. I coached competitive gymnastics, and Austin focused more on like the managerial side of recreational gymnastics. We were constantly trying to like fulfill this vision that our parents had, which was to like streamline the gymnastics center into a turnkey operation. Turn your gym into a turnkey operation. We were a package deal, you know, to gym owners, and we both, Austin and I, were far overzealous, causing us like this love-hate relationship with the business owner. And this led us to a very disgruntled mentality that I regret, that if we could just open our own gym, nothing could stop us. And of course, we were totally wrong. So in 2012, we actually opened a company called Stars and Stripes Management, which was like a resource company for gym owners. We built a business plan for our own gymnastics center because that was our ultimate goal. And we actually pitched it to an investor and got a partner to help us out, and we opened up our first gymnastics center. Our first tuition cycle was $8,000, and it was the coolest day of our lives to see like that much money come in on one day. So my brother and I celebrated feeling like we were on top of the world, masters of the universe, business magnates. Of course, we weren't. So payday came along after we received that first cycle of tuition. And we calculated that our payroll was going to be $16,000. And just like that, we were already in the hole by $8,000, deep in the hole. So what was us, you know, like Koch brothers supposed to do now? Default, fold on the business? No, because with our boastful attitudes and grandstanding that we always did at the time, there was just no way our ego would let us to fail. So we didn't allow that to happen. So we marketed through flyers and social ads and search ads and email blasts and community outreach work, and just got super creative on how to make like a sign up for our program to be irresistible. So students were flooding into the gym each month. We had 100 more students than we did last month, and our new enrollment brought revenue, but that new revenue had to be used to facilitate the previous clients and our liabilities. And so that cat and mouse game began, and we were constantly attempting to get the new business to pay for the old business. Within just 4 years, we ended up having a 50,000 square foot facility, and with 4,000 class enrollments and almost 2,000 students. And it ended up making us the largest gymnastics center in Florida. We created 4 other brands that manifested from our endeavors to grow Gymnastics USA. We came out with Ninja Kids, which is a ninja program for curriculum.
Ninja Kids clubs across the country, you can find a place to learn the ways of the ninja near you.
And also an entertainment side that we partnered with, a very popular brand. We came out with Climbers Aerial Silks, which is a silks program. My Web Solution, which is a digital marketing ad agency.
Our whole web presence was created by My Web Solution. We always come up first using SEO and Google Ads.
We also launched a software company called myskillchart.com, which is a skill tracking software so students can track their own progress on a phone or a tablet.
So now you consult businesses.
Yeah.
Okay, so what problems do business owners typically have? What do they tend to do wrong?
They all tend to, have the same problems. They lack legitimacy, agility, they lack organization, and most importantly, leadership. And they tell me how overwhelmed they are, how they can't find good employees, they can't grow, they're kind of stuck, they feel like they can't retain their students or their clients. And for some, they just think that throwing in the towel, just returning to being just an employee seems to be a better choice for them, a more logical choice. And so many have this knowledge of what needs to get done, but they just don't know where to start. And this seems to be like the ongoing trend in our industry, but really with all small businesses of technicians or individuals opening up a business that they know have an expertise in. So through all these conversations with these business owners, in meeting with them and talking with them and learning about their businesses and their struggles and their achievements and things like that, we kind of came up with our own realizations of business development. A legitimate company is one that has stable growth, it's predictable, and provides an actual consistent service to its community. So let's do this. Let's imagine that your business is a pyramid, right? With 5 different layers, okay, on this pyramid. Let's first begin with a minimal viable product or service. That's at the bottom, the foundation. And that's one that fulfills the needs of your community. That's the product that fills the needs of your community. And second, you must have a brand. You must brand that product and service with an attractive design and feel. And then third, provide some type of security and legality to your business through client retention modules, industry compliance, and risk mitigation. And then fourth, on this pyramid, you must build a real marketing and sales foundation. And fifth, at the top of this pyramid, you must continually control the quality of your business through systems of management, through product development, and so on. Next point of having a successful business, and a point that I see many business owners are lacking, is agility. Agility is the ability to adapt to the market change, to people changes, employee changes, force majeures. You should never dig yourself into an original way of doing things, like an old business plan or a specific way someone did in the past. Oh, well, Johnny's always done it this way. This is how we've always done it. This is the way the documentation says, so we're not changing it. That's not how you should run a company. That's how you lead a failing company. That's how you lead a frustrated company. Agility is the ability to adapt to feedback from your clientele and employees and managers. Adapt and make changes. In software, we call this user acceptance testing. And this is where the users, your employees, your clients, your members, give you feedback on their experience of using your product. And if a process or system is not working and they're disgruntled and not happy with their experience, don't just say, hey, well, that's how we do things. That's how we've always done it. You got to change it. In our offices, we have a quote on a whiteboard that's been up for so long, it's actually permanent. And it states a mantra that's predominant in our business, which is change or die. Okay. So the next thing is organization. And this is creating roles, positions, and departments that constitute the body and heart and brain of your business. That's why we call it a company. And let's be clear, this is not a hierarchy pyramid of employee status or management status where the boss is at the top and the plebs are at the bottom, the peons. The organization of your business needs to be mapped out. It should address every aspect of your company, every person within the business, every position, and the owners, who the owners are, what their roles are, and the stakeholders, and so on and so forth. This needs to be assigned to this needs to be created and shown on an organizational map. So one thing that's really certain here is that It's not the people that run the business, it's the systems. And the people run the systems. That's the main point of that organization model. And let's talk about leadership, which I believe is the most important. There's no bad teams, there's just bad leaders. It's in our nature, of course, to be selfish and lazy and ungrateful. And the only way to prevent that, this primitive state of mind, is to be held actually accountable to someone. Accountable to a superior with good values, character, and a clear vision of where we're all going. A good leader is focused, driven, consistent, attentive, and provides a platform for open communication, doesn't shut it off. They prioritize and execute, address issues swiftly, and they serve their team members. They serve their team members. They serve their employees. They serve their clients. They don't serve themselves. Leaders don't serve themselves. That's a bad leader. You serve your people. If someone else fails, you need to figure out what you did wrong to cause that person's failure. And that's the idea of leadership. So going back to our story, when we were growing, it's like that chaos of growing and almost collapsing. I often myself wanted to give up. Depression is a real thing. And speaking for myself, I consistently, personally, I always lived in the future, waiting for that day to like make it, you know? Where all these problems will go away and that miracle product was gonna appear, or the miracle revenue was just gonna show up at my doorstep and it was just gonna fix everything and I was gonna be happy. That's where I was. But that day never came. And to be honest, it never will. I realized that the here and now is what matters the most, so long as it's coupled with a definite chief aim, okay? And daily progress towards that aim, right? So it's patience, but with persistence. Now when I become emotional and I feel the urge to just give up the fight, and I just look at myself in the mirror and I open my mouth, like I remember that story I told you, and I see that scar on my tongue. And it reminds me that every part of my business, every part in the business I'm in is just too deep for me to uproot. Like, I'm in this for the long run. And I know I have responsibility to my employees, my responsibility to my community, my family, to fight and continue. So through our journey, both my brother and I learned that it took us 7 years to learn how to get things wrong, just so we can spend 7 more years getting it right. And our first 7 years of being in business is now coming to an end, actually. And the 7 more have just begun. And with that, I want to set a framework for others, such as our followers, our members at our businesses, our clients, and our families, and our children, to achieve their greatest potential and ultimate happiness.